Welcome everybody to Freaky Tales, and first of all, I want to thank everybody on the live chat, everybody that subscribed, everybody that shared, everybody that's commenting. I'd like to welcome everybody to this Freaky Friday podcast. And before I introduce my special guest, we will be taking calls today, so the number will be popping up right before we start taking calls. But other than that, once again, I'm still selling the horror loteria. For those of you that are interested, you can go to documixery.com and you can order it there. I have a few left. I don't know if I'll be ordering anytime soon, but once again, you can go to documixery.com. The number when we accept calls will be popping up when we are available for you to accept. You know what? Let me say this. A lot of you have DM'd me and inboxed me and told me I want to call. Look, I know a lot of times maybe you may not want to share some of these stories. Maybe these are stories that have happened, to your family members that have been passed down to you, or maybe it happened to you, or maybe it's an ongoing thing where you possibly just don't want to share it. But I encourage you to call when that number pops up and share your story. Like you said, a lot of guys just want to share it on the DM or on the inbox or by email. But I encourage you to call live and share your story. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce my special guest, and she goes by Ladie. How are you?
Thank you. Very good. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, you know what? It's a pleasure. You know what? We had Cedric here, and Cedric's a good friend of yours.
Absolutely.
And Cedric spoke very, very highly of you. So I said, let's get her on the show. So now, there's the only thing that I can ask for you, if you could speak a little bit closer to the mic, because I really want people to get to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
And if you can give our audience a little bit of your background.
Okay. Well, my name is Ladie, and I am a clairvoyant empath. What does that mean? It means that I can see pictures and I can also pick up different things. I'm also a licensed and ordained minister, so I can marry you and bury you. So.
Oh, wow. Wow.
I do paranormal works, and I've also been hired by local police departments out in Oxnard, California, to help locate missing people or cases, or I even help with families that need closure.
Really?
Yes.
Now correct me if I'm wrong. I read on your Instagram that it's a psychic and astrologer.
Yes. So basically what that means is that I'm able to pick up things from the universe. I get them like pictures. I can pick up pets. I can pick up the deceased loved ones that have passed on. I can see premonitions. I'll get premonitions like even in my Facebook, I had posted about COVID too. I didn't know, to be honest, it was going to be this extent. Sometimes God shows me a lot, and sometimes God will show me just enough. So, but my job is to pre-warn people. And basically what that means is that nothing is etched in stone. When I give people a prediction or a reading, this is a warning for them to take into consideration to make some drastic changes, or this could be the outcome. And then some things are just etched in stone.
Right. Some things are just straight out,
Exactly.
Now let me ask you this, because when it comes to a lot of things like this, and I'm just going to be 100% honest with you, it isn't that I do not believe, it's that sometimes maybe I'm not fully convinced. So I'm somewhat of a skeptic at times, but you know what, seeing is believing. And when you see something and you hear something, or if somebody tells me something that comes to pass, you can't deny that. Okay. Right. You can't deny that. And once again, I have a brother that he's more of the optimist. He believes pretty much in everything, and that's cool. But I'm the kind of person that I like to see a little bit more, or hear a little bit more, or know a little bit more. And that's why I invited you to come, because I want to know and I want to learn a little bit more.
Oh, absolutely.
So now let me ask you this. At what point in your life would you say you began to see things, or you began to see that either we can call it a gift or an ability, or what would you call it, a gift?
I do call it a gift now. Before, I used to call it a burden, to be honest with
Okay.
you. When I was little growing up, I would kind of blurt things out, and my mom would be like, shh, and it would be the back of the hand to the mouth, like, shh, don't say that,
Right, right.
But my grandma was also an intuitive, so she would be like, I grew up with older aunts, so they couldn't really hide anything from me.
Right. Okay.
So my grandma was like, hey, where were they?
Okay.
So it was all bad, but I really did not embrace my gifts until after a tragic accident had happened in my family. And
Wow.
it was something that I was kind of forced into, but then I realized that it was a necessity at the time.
Okay. Okay.
So
Around what age would you say you experienced your first, like, if we want to call it your paranormal activity, or,
wow. So that would actually be when I was about 7 years old. I'm sorry. It was 6 years old, because I was home from school, and there was a man that had walked in the middle of the street. And I used to live on Remit Avenue. I grew up in Canoga Park. And right there, he was right in the middle of the street. And then he began to like beckon me over.
Wow.
And I started to like walk towards him. And my grandma tells me, where are you going? I says, the man, he wants me to go with him. And she goes, no, you don't go with, the man that beckons you. You don't go with the lady that beckons you. You don't go with the man. But she's telling me in Spanish, you don't go with people that call you over, because that's the angel of death. So that was my first experience. And
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. And interestingly enough, when we talk over the phone, we chose certain subjects to talk about, and the first subject that we wanted to talk about was the angel of death.
Yep.
Now, you know what? Now, as a kid and not knowing too much about the angel of death, I know after studying some religion and studying history that, like, there's the religion Islam and the religion Christianity believe, and even in their books, whether it be the Quran or the Bible, actually mention the angel of death.
Yes.
So there are people that actually, when you say angel of death, they'll say something like, then it's probably, what's that one that is very popular right now? Santa Muerte.
Yes.
They'll say that it's that, or some people say, well, maybe it's the destroyer, in the Bible. So there's a lot of misconception on what the angel of death
Or
is.
Ezrael.
Right, right. So I'm not really quite sure, but can you please enlighten us and share with us who or what the angel of death is?
The angel of death is actually an angel of one of the four archangels. There was Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Gabriel was, of course, the messenger that gave Mary the message, and then Michael was the one that threw, Satan into the abyss. But Azrael was the angel of basically luring the people to separate them from their bodies and their souls, and leading them to either heaven or hell or wherever they're going to go.
Okay.
The angel of death is a shapeshifter. So what I mean by this is the angel will come in many forms, and there's not just one angel. There's many other angels that are acting out under this angel's command. And I see them on a regular. They can transform into either an owl. So people will say, I see an owl, I saw something. Angel can also be light, so it'll transform into light, or sound, where you can hear somebody that's familiar that laughs, and you'll go to their sound, because the whole purpose is to kind of lure you away. There's people, a horse is another one that the angel comes as a form as. And even transform into something that's totally different. So I know there's a lot of times where I've gone into a room and I'll see light, and I know the angel is present, because I'm about to deal with paranormal stuff, and I'll get into how it leaves its portals behind too. So.
Okay. Now, for somebody that's maybe wondering, who maybe it's the first time ever hearing of this angel of death, is this angel a good angel? Is he a bad angel?
Well, how should I say? The angel, it kind of works both ways. Light does not exist without dark, and dark does not exist without light. So what this means is some people would think it's bad because it's taking people away to to death, okay, and to a metamorphosis of transformation into the next life. So people that have a hard time with death and separation, they're going to find this angel as being bad. Okay. But then again, the angel could be really good. So let's see somebody suffering from cancer, or they're suffering from some kind of a wound or an accident. Then the angel steps in and just, kindly takes them away. So there's really not to say, good or bad. It just all depends on your view. Now, for a person who's been living a murderous lifestyle, then yeah, it's all bad.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what about if somebody asks, like when you saw him in the 6 years old, if I'm correct, and he was calling you, what was the purpose of him calling you for?
Well, at first I thought, because on many occasions I kept seeing the angel appear to me, and my grandmother kept saying, don't go, don't go, don't go. And I finally came to an understanding when I was a teenager about the angel was trying to show me things. Okay. So that's when I started to embrace my gifts. I had a cousin out here, and it was right after I had gotten married that my family had called me up and said, her name was Monique Arroyo, and she was kidnapped here in Wilmington. And my family called me up and said, Monique's missing, we need your help. At the time, I did not embrace my gift, so it was very hard for me to tap into it, and I was kicking myself all over the place. But when I started really quieting my mind, then the angel appeared to me and started showing me things. But it also showed other family members. Another family member of mine, her husband was the one that said, you need to embrace your gifts, because my families were like really strong Catholics, and on my dad's side, so they were like, that's all bad, Right. But on my grandma's side, we're Shoshone, and we have a lot of spirituality, and so I was always getting that conflicting just my entire life. But I've learned to appreciate this angel, and this angel really deserves a lot of respect.
Wow. You know what? And I'm glad you're educating us in this, because when we, and when I say we, those that are ignorant or don't know anything about the angel of death, we automatically assume, because we hear the word death, that it's bad.
Right.
And we understand that. When I hear the name, the angel of death, I right away would assume maybe it's Santa Muerte, but it's obviously something totally different, if I'm correct. Okay. Now, this angel, do people pray to it? Do people talk to it? Or does he choose to, if you will, reveal himself to only certain people? Or
so the angel, like, there are people that do pray to the angel and leave offerings, which, for instance, I do. So anytime I enter a cemetery, I'm going to leave an offering outside the gates, because the first thing the angel tells me, basically, what are you here for? And I have to be like, wait a minute, I'm here, not here to cross anybody over. I'm not here to, because the angel is a protector of people that have passed on, and for those that are resting. So that's why when you go into a cemetery, you're supposed to turn down your radio. And a lot of people don't do that, because what happens is you got to remember, spirits run off of electricity. So I'll do an experiment with you. If you hold up your finger in front of you like this, and it's a solid form. Right. But if you begin to shake it really fast, it kind of disappears, right? Right. That's the vibrational energy that spirits run off of. So if you're going into a cemetery blaring your radio, you're basically going to disturb the vibration and the peace of the deceased. And that's where the angel's going to get upset, and things are going to start to happen. And sometimes there's voices that come over your radio, which in a lot of the paranormal investigations we do, we use what's called a spirit box, which we can pick up those sessions. And so we got to really respect this angel. Wow. And the angel is huge too, by the way. Really? So there's also in the Islamic Bible that says that a true angel's wingspan will take you a whole night and a day to travel from one tip to another. But whenever I see the angel of death, or angels that are around, they're the size of telephone poles. They're humongous. So when you're going up against strongholds or principalities that Christians like to believe, that there's something that really has a hold on you, you're going up against these really strong beings.
Wow. Now, wow. You just gave me a lot to think about because those are very good visuals. Now that we're thinking about it, now as far as when did you first experience, like when you said you went to the cemetery and you witnessed this angel of death? Do you remember the first time that happened to you when you went to a cemetery where you thought, okay, they're here as well?
Well, when, I'll never forget, Richie Valenzuela is my cousin. Okay. And we were going into a cemetery. It was me, my mom, and my grandmother. Of course, we're going into the San Fernando Valley Cemetery. Yes. And we went to go see my grandma Marcos. And I'll never forget, we were going through the cemetery, and all of a sudden, no sooner than we passed my cousin's grave, "Oh Donna" begins to play on the radio. And it came through very, very loud. And so that's when I started to notice angels, a lot of angels. And they were just hanging out. And I told my mom, I said, there's a lot of people here today. And she was like, there's nobody here. And my grandma started laughing. She goes, she's seeing angels,
Wow.
So that's when I really started to notice. But kind of like all my life, things have kind of approached me. But that was really the first time that I've seen so many gathered in a particular place.
Has this angel of death or any other angel ever been hostile towards you?
No, it would be malevolent spirits that would be hostile towards me.
Now, what are malevolent spirits for those that may not know?
So malevolent spirits are like poltergeists. They possess a certain type of energy. There's things that we like to call imprints or loops. These are people that have passed on. And so it's kind of like taking a glass and putting your fingerprint on it, and it just kind of stains there. Right. So people say, we see the white lady every time at 12 o'clock. So that would be a loop. That would be, a spirit that's just reenacting over and over. But then you get your poltergeists that have power behind them. They're able to manipulate the energy, move objects, and scratch, attack, and bite you. Wow. So that's not the angel of death. The angel of death will appear to a person, and they have a choice. Either go with me or stay behind. So I'll go into a house and, of course, here comes the angel, and then I will give the spirit of choice. A lot of times people don't want to let go of their possessions. So they want to stay in this space, and they begin to disturb the people that are living there. And then I'll, kind of coax them, kind of be the mediator, and then cross them over with the angel. And that's how that works. And people will end up seeing like the room changes. Either it's brighter or there's more light to the room, or the room smells of flowers, or it feels more lighter because the angel opens up a portal that's heavenly, and then it leaves a heavenly essence behind. Wow.
I've heard of that, the essence that you've just said. Now,
yeah, there's a good essence and a bad essence too.
Yes, I've heard stories about both. I've never experienced that, but I've heard stories about that. Now, let me ask you, since you embraced your gift, do you experience more, or was it about the same even since before you didn't embrace the gift? Because there was the point in your life where you said, I didn't embrace it, I kind of shunned it, I didn't want it, it was a burden. Yeah. But now that you're embracing it, do you see more, or is it pretty much the same?
It's pretty much the same, but when I didn't embrace it, well, I named one of my sons Elijah out of the Bible, because Elijah just did not want to do God's work. Elijah was just always combative. He was argumentative. I mean, God even dried up his leaves, his little shade tree and his river, and he was just like, you're going to do this. Right. When I started getting into, the world has different names and tags for everything. Christians will call me a prophet. The world calls me a witch. What I see is light and dark energy, and we're all this beautiful intertwined fabric all woven together. And if we really kind of take off labels and everything, like you said, the different words and different Bibles have different names for this angel, and the same thing with my gifts. So, getting back to it all, I really appreciate being that mediator, but sometimes it takes a heavy toll on me.
Yeah, I'm sure it would. I've had several episodes on here where I've shared where I've seen things, and people have sat where you're at and have told me, oh, you know what, Tony, you need to embrace your gift. Tony, I never thought I had a gift. I've just seen things, you know.
Well, that's actually something that I did get on the way over here. I got an older woman that was actually talking to me, and she came in the form as a mother figure before I came over here, and she was telling me a bit about you. So, you know, we never really met or talked, but she said you were always that little fly on the wall, that you would be within the mix of the party, but you were just the little fly, you know, like you had really good, keen observations, but that you would also see things through the corners of your eye that people wouldn't catch. And you would be like, am I really looking at this? Or is this something really there? And other people in the room don't notice because they're so caught up. But your mind and body were already separating. And that, yes, you do have a very beautiful gift. You notice people and you notice the hearts of people.
Wow, it's funny you say that, because one thing that I always tell my son, and soon my son will be in here, I always tell him, Mijo, master the art of observation. That's one.
That's what she told me.
And he will confirm that. That's one thing that I always say, just sit back and just look. And that's always been me. And there's been times that I've seen things, you know. I've shared this twice here, and I'll share this with you. I interview on my other podcast the majority of rappers, okay? And one guy, well, I'm never going to give the gender. Sometimes I say guy, sometimes I say woman, because I have guys that constantly call me, who was it?
Right.
And I just say, oh, I'm not going to say, well, what's his name? I never said it was a him, okay?
I have clients that want to sit in and do this.
Yes. This person, that's how I'll refer to them, walked in, and as soon as he walked in, I saw this dark figure following him. And it didn't sit well with me at all, and I didn't think it was any good, you know. I think sometimes, you know, we can tell when a person, when we have a pretty good judgment of character, we can meet people, we could talk to them, and we could say to ourselves, like the way we say in Spanish, esta persona es una buena persona, you know. But with this person, I didn't get that he was a bad person, but I thought either something was attached to him or was tormenting him, or I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it looked like a dark silhouette.
The first thing that came to mind was Beelzebub. And this one has to be actually sent by somebody. It's a demonic type of entity. It's not even a spirit. But this guy was kind of like in a love triangle of like a love spell gone wrong, and they sent an attachment to him.
Wow.
So that's what I'm picking up. So if you can even ask him, did he notice a lot of bugs or insects or things that were around him? The name, have you ever seen the name Beetlejuice on TV?
Yeah.
So this is where Beelzebub comes from. But Beelzebub is a disgusting, whenever I go into a person's house, I start to notice, you know, things inside of the room, the smell, the stench, and I could pick up what demons are inside of that house.
Wow, it's funny that you said that, because during the interview, this person somewhat mentioned they had just got out of a bad relationship. And it kind of goes along, and I don't want to say too much because then people will start guessing, and I don't want to do that. But yeah. Now, you know, it's funny that you say that, because I want to share something with you that I had a couple call me last week, and they put me on the speaker. I never like talking on the speaker, but he asked me, I have my wife with me, do you mind if we talk to you? And I said, yeah. And this person asked me, have you had any quarrels with anyone, or any arguments or anything with? And I told him, yeah. I said, you know what? There's a person that's out there, and all I'm going to say is that they're hating on me. They're coming against me. They're spreading false rumors. They're slandering my name. They're trying to do away with everything that I've started innocently a year ago. I said, and they're pretty much just trying to ruin me. That's what I said.
Well, I'm glad I met you then. We're going to transmute that energy. And I did bring you a gift today.
Awesome.
That's actually going to help you.
So I asked him, well, why are you asking me this? And he said this. He goes, well, my wife was praying, and every time we would say your name, now these are the words that they've used. Okay. And I just said, what did she see? A dark figure with white eyes. And every time that she said your name, she would see this dark figure with white eyes saying, he's mine. every time that he said his name. He said, what she got was that someone sent this to you. And it was kind of like what you were just saying right now. So whether it's true or not, I just said, oh, okay, well, but thank you for praying for me. I just,
Well, the positive part about this all is that I know that, like I said, you have this mother figure that is looking out for you, and your entire life she's always prayed over you. And that's why I tell parents it's important to pray over your children. We can transmute energies that are trying to come to our children by just a simple prayer. And it's the way we pray too. When you pray with your heart and with love, love will transmute anything that's negative and black. So I brought you something here today because I knew back in the day you were a bit of a heartbreaker and people, this and that. This is a tiger's eye, and tiger's eye it's a little gift for you to keep on you whenever you do this podcast or whenever you feel that negativity is coming your way. I blessed that. I treated it. I cured it. So it carries a lot of good, positive energy. Awesome. And, like the Bible says, no weapons formed against me shall prosper. But one thing, there's a lot of new baby witches that are coming up. Really? Okay. There's a lot of people that want to experiment into magics and energies, and they think love spell or this spell. They forget that the universe will, excuse my French, kick your ass before when you tap into it. Whatever you toss out there, they always say, when you point a finger, you get 3 pointed back at you. Yes. Well, that is very true. It's called the law of 3. So if I'm going to put a hex or a curse or a spell on somebody, people say, with no harm to none, don't return to me. That's not necessarily true. Energy has to come back. Energy works in a circular motion, and centrifugal force. If you get a bucket of water, the more you spin it, the water is more compressed and powerful, and it stays inside of that bucket. Well, the same thing with the spell. So if it keeps going and going, and then it's released, that pressure, that power will come up. So this is why I try to teach people about protections and white light magic and things and prayer. Because like I said, I used to work very deeply in the churches before with Victory Outreach Oxnard and Victory Outreach Ventura. People would get mad at me because of my gifts. They would say, oh, that's of the devil. But it's like trying to tell, a person of color not to be a color anymore. Right. I couldn't quench my gifts. I had to be who I am. I did a thing on the radio the other day where, my Facebook, I went live, and there was this guy that kept saying, this is not of God, this is not of God. And he was just being crazy. And then he says, can you change? And I'm like, change it to what? I asked him, a duck, a gecko, what? This is my gifts. But then God reminded me, I sent them my son, and they even nailed him to a cross. So anything that's good or pure, people tend to try to harm. Right. So I get that from you. Okay. So that's what my whole story coming to this conclusion is, you have done really good by people your entire life. And even growing up, the spirit was telling me, this mother figure was telling me, he's a good person, and you always think about others. Your entire life, you always have, and you're always worried if you're doing something correctly. Like a perfectionist, and you want to make sure that you're gonna get to heaven. In other words.
Well, you know what? You're absolutely right. And this mother figure, I've always told everyone that. I've always had a praying mother, and one thing that my mother told me, she said, I prayed so much for you that even after I'm gone, these prayers are going to still continue to bless you, and protect you. And so I'm very thankful for having a praying mother, and I think it's very important that mothers, especially even fathers, because many fathers are absent from their children's lives, or sometimes it could be vice versa. But I think it's important that we definitely pray over our children. Yes. Now
I say mother figure because here on earth, she was your mom, but now in another realm, she still is your mom in a sense, but she's so much bigger than that. Yeah. When we get into our active roles as spirits on the other side, there's so much work to do. And, she's really still commanding people up there.
Well, I appreciate you telling me that, because whenever I talk about my mother, it is the hardest thing for me to talk about. It truly is, because I consider my mother my best friend.
Yes.
But I will tell you something that I actually regret doing while she was here. When I knew she was getting closer to pass, to protect myself from breaking down or for not wanting to be here anymore, I separated myself and I saw her less. And she would always call me, you know, Antonio, ¿por qué no me vas a visitar? Antonio. And I would like, I'll be there today. And believe it or not, I maybe go once every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because I did not want to see her, you know, I didn't want to see her pass. So,
you know, that is so normal, because even when my mother came, me having my gifts, I didn't want her to worry, because I didn't want her to read me or see my face. And so I feel the same thing with you too, you know, because a mom can read and they can sense and your fears. You didn't want to put that fear upon her or that hurt that you were feeling upon her.
Right.
And she totally understands it. She totally gets it. And she forgives you for that, you know, and, you know, they don't stop loving. They love you even more. But it took like tremendous amount for you to even say that, she's telling me, you know, because you've kind of suppressed this for such a long time. And, you know, she's really happy that, you know, you're going to feel so much better in the morning. This is something else that I'm getting. She's like, he's going to feel so much better in the morning. But this is normal for a lot of people to do, is to separate themselves from people that are sick, because, you know, they don't want them to see, you know, their faces or, I mean, like when a person walks into a room and you've been hurt and then you see their face and you're like, oh my God, I must look like crud, or, you know, oh my God, this is going to be the end.
right.
And then we don't want to accept the fact of
Right.
saying goodbye either.
And that was me. I didn't want to. And it got to the point where my family started telling me, you know what, if you don't go see her, we pretty much don't want you at the funeral. You know?
Yeah, that can be harsh sometimes. I mean, there's many funerals that I couldn't have gone to because, like I said, even me seeing things, you know, it's still, I'm still human. You cut me, I'll bleed. And people forget I'm not God, you know.
Right.
I'm still human. And they're like, aren't you going to be there? And sometimes I just can't, you know, because although I know they're going to be fine, I would rather wait to see them into the place where they're fine.
Right.
Because, you know, well, another reason why I don't like to go to funeral homes or funerals is because I see too much.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can see, you know, people that have taken their own lives. And then my phone doesn't stop ringing 24/7. Okay. So people will Facebook me, they'll DM me, they'll 24/7. It's just noise, 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 noise. Even when I am trying to sleep, there are spirits that are the same way. They'll come to me and they'll just bombard me with all kinds of things and questions. So it's really hard.
Wow. Now, you know, one thing about my friend that told me what his wife saw, she has been seeing things for a while. Once again, when I met her, I knew she had some type of gift. I knew she did. And so when she said this, I just said this, look, whoever this person is that's trying to do this to me, I'm not afraid of anything.
That's right.
I'm not afraid of anything that they're trying to do to me. So I don't care how many chicken bones she throws on the floor or how many cigars or how many times she pees on something. Honestly, it doesn't matter to me. You can pee all you want and, you know, play hopscotch with chicken bones if you want, but I'm not afraid of any of that stuff.
That's why it's so important for me to actually work with the client, because I need to get them into that state of mind. Okay, so I tell a client, you know, in order for this to work, I need you here with me. I need you to be strong. I need you to be focused. No weapons formed against me. Then let me take care of the rest. Because two working energies together, like they always say, there's more power in prayer if there's two, which is very true. I have a coven and we have 13. We work together on a lot of cases and things that we do. And we have to take the client, basically, because there's people that have like anxieties, or they doubt, or they ask us to do certain things, or they ask me to do certain things. You know, they want this, they want that. But without that mentality or frame of mind, nothing's going to work. The magic is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And then people just think, oh, that's just wishful thinking and da-da-da-da. And it's like, you think what you want, but my clients know.
No, that's good. That's good. You know, and like I said, I think people in the past, because I've had people that have told me, I know somebody's got a voodoo doll on you. And of course, I've said like some nasty things. Oh yeah, tell them pull down my pants and blah blah blah. You know, but you know, like I'm a very strong-willed person. You know,
Yep.
When I'm determined to do something, I'll do it, and I do not fear. I usually like to say I'm the wrong person that you want to push around. You know.
Well, whenever I go through a house, you know, the first thing I always say is, "Yea, though I walk through the valleys of shadows of death, I shall fear no evil." These are with malevolent spirits that are coming at me. I mean, I've had priests that have called me to go help, try to do exorcisms or remove things, and I've heard the demon say straight out, "I knew Jesus, but who are you?" So it's like, you know, let's call the witch to get rid of it. You know? Right. and people are like, how is it that, you know, you're a witch and you know all this stuff? Well, there's different types of spirits that have passed on that are either they're Christian, either they're Islamic, and you just have to know what you're dealing with, because sometimes it's a spirit and then there's sometimes it's a demon. So that's another thing too. You know, I'm able to differentiate, you know, what it is.
Okay.
Animals will pick up if you have a malevolent spirit or if you have a demon in your house.
You know, I mean, and that's one thing I always wanted to know, because I know people, even whether people are religious or not, they always think or assume that animals do pick up on it, for the sake of the conversation, on the paranormal. So is it true that animals are sensitive?
Absolutely. They are very sensitive, and they're very sensitive to you. Whenever I walk into the house, everybody's cat wants to rat on them right away. Or their dog's telling me, hey, I want to walk. But they can, because their lens and their eyes are totally built different than us. And not only that, animals have been spirit guides since the beginning of time.
Yes.
You hear it from the Indians. You see the animal totem poles. And that's why the angel of death, coming back to that, will be a shapeshifter. So either it'll be a horse that'll lead you away, or an owl. People are like, oh my God, I seen an owl in the daytime, you know, superstitions, all things like that. I'm like, well, did you say hello? But, you know, it just, you know, depends on what they feel inside. Like, you know what, something was different about that owl. But the angel of death does shapeshift a lot into different animals. Cats are always halfway in and halfway out. They're amazing, you know. Their tails are always going, because it's picking up the statics in the air, and the minute a spirit manifests, it's gonna pick it up quick. And so I have cats, I have animals, and they're always my first alarm.
Wow.
And sometimes sometimes things don't want to manifest to me right away, because they don't want me to cross it over.
Okay.
So.
Wow. You know what? I had a question, because you said shapeshifter.
Yes.
I have a Native American friend, several of them, that go to their reservations. And some of them have told me this. And I don't know if you know anything about this, but when they talk about skinwalkers, and some people will say, oh, they're medicine men. A couple of my Native American friends told me, when the skinwalkers are out there at night, I will not go out there at night on the reservation.
Right.
Now, I've asked them, again, ignorantly, because I don't know, and I like to ask a lot of questions. I said, well, why wouldn't you go out there? Because they turn into animals. I don't know if that's true or not, or can you shed a little bit of light on what you've heard?
It's absolutely true when it comes to shamans and shape-shifting, because basically that is sacred land. So there is something that, I don't know if you've ever heard it, but people like to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and they call it the witching hour.
Yes.
So this is the time where portals are opened. This is between more spirits have that opportunity, because of the planetary alignments, have the opportunity to visit more in the earth realm. I mean, just more, how should I say, more tangibly, okay? What I mean by that is more of a solid type form or figure. So during those hours is basically witching hour. So you don't want to go out there and disturb these spirits, because a lot of these spirits are cleansing the ground, which they don't get. They're protecting the ground. And, you know, you come across this land, and they're going to tell you to get out of there, and they can physically hurt you even worse at these points.
Wow. You know, one thing that I've read, and I don't know whether it's true or not, but I read it several times, that in the Bible, Jesus would get up and pray at 3 o'clock in the morning. And now that you're saying this and this, you know, and there's been times where, many times that either I heard something or I just woke up and I was wide awake, but always around 3 o'clock.
Yep.
Always.
Even when he was betrayed by Judas, he was up praying, and because these are the hours. And there's actually, you know, there's several different hours. I'll just let people understand the night hours because it's easier for them. Mm-hmm. But me being trained, and I do train other people that have certain gifts, because time is important beyond. Its timing is everything.
Yes.
Planetary alignment is everything. This is why I got into astrology. This is why I got into, you know, every down to the last second, the pyramids, the different steeples that are positioned around here. It all consists of time and portals and when they're going to open up. So if I go into a home and there's a poltergeist there, I'm waiting for a certain hour, because I know that spirit is going to come through even more prominent at that specific time. It's not just the night, it's also the day. And, you know, I don't want people to freak out. That's why I have to be, this is why people didn't say about aliens a long time, because people started jumping off of buildings. So I have to I have to be very careful about what I say to the sensitive audience. I know a lot of people want to know, but sometimes it's not good to know unless you're trained. Right. But there are hours out there that are sacred hours. And, things happen.
You know, I know you mentioned poltergeist, you're going into certain people's homes. Have you ever been physically attacked?
Yes. I'll never forget when I was, my first attack, I was a little girl. I was with my cousin Marie, and we decided to go to Big Bear. And so it was my Aunt Isabel, my Uncle Gary, my cousin Marie, and then it was my mom, my brother, and I. So they all rented this cabin. We went to Big Bear, and the lady was telling us, my daughter passed away. It was her room upstairs. Please, nobody go inside of it because she gets upset. So we took heed. Okay, you know, we're not going to go. We're going to leave the spirit alone. Thanks for telling us after taking our money. You know? Right. But my aunt was deaf. My Aunt Isabel was deaf, so she didn't get to hear the message, and neither did my Uncle Gary because they're both deaf. So my cousin Marie didn't translate to them. So next thing you know, we're all sitting around, and then I just feel this icy cold chill. Like I started to shake, and my mom screamed, and I heard the glass break, and I ran into the kitchen, and it was a really thin wine glass. And she goes, "Oh my God, don't step in here. There's going to be glass everywhere. Give me the broom." When I looked around, the wine glass was standing perfectly straight up. So I was like, what the heck is going on? She goes, "The glass didn't break." She goes, "Go run downstairs and get your brother." And so I was like, I didn't want to go downstairs. Like something petrified me. So my mom goes, "I'll go downstairs." So it led kind of into a basement. So my mom went first, and then I started getting that cold chill again. And then I felt something like bite me in my forearm. So I ran downstairs to the basement to my mom, and my mom said she looked up and she just saw two shadows, mine and another little girl, and all of my hair lifted up, and I was yanked up by my hair, and I was thrown down the stairs. Wow. And that's when she said, "Okay, this spirit is gonna start attacking you. You know, we need to get out of here." Then we see the light on upstairs, and my mom was like, "No!" You know, after that, it was just all hell broke loose. Literally, I got sick. My cousin Marie got sick. There was a dog next door that wouldn't shut up every night at 3 o'clock. We had to stay there for like a whole week before we can come back home. It was just hell. But this thing was attacking me left and right.
And if somebody were to ask you, like, well, why would it attack you? Is it because maybe it recognized that you were gifted?
Well, what I know now, I was so afraid of this little girl. I was so afraid of her, but what she really wanted was, she was hurting. She died in a lot of pain. She had cancer, and she was hurting, and she wanted me to help her. And because I kept rejecting her, she kept getting more and more angry at me. And I found that was happening to me quite a bit. And so my mom, you know, my mom was an intuitive, but my mom just was like, no, because she was afraid of what people were going to say about me. Right. And so she tried to protect me by, how should I say, not educating me, but then yet I had a grandma that was like, "Psst, come here."
Okay. Are other members in your family gifted as well?
Yes, yes. And now they're starting to really come out and embrace their gifts a lot. I think I kind of like stepped out of the boat. I was the one that, see if Mikey likes it. I just got tired and I really didn't care what people thought about me anyways. I was damned if I do, I was damned if I don't,
Right.
And I'm just going to be me. So I got ridiculed my whole life from churches, from people, from, everybody has an opinion and that's great, and some people just need to understand that some things are just different.
Yeah.
And you can't be, it's kind of like a spiritual or spiritual racism, in other words, that I've gone through for a long time.
Right.
And you just got to really appreciate and understand what each Bible is trying to say, because I see it as one big puzzle and we all fit together. And we're all unconditional love. I'll never forget, I read this passage in the Bible where they had asked Jesus, what is the most important message that you want us to teach or for us to understand? And he said, unconditional love. And it's very hard for people to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's because you know what, it's a lot easier to hate, and some people just live with that. Like, I've never understood, and I've shared this on previous episodes on how, if you have this gift, what makes a person want to separate themselves from you? Maybe because they're scared, that you may see something in them.
Yes, a lot of it is that. And then they're like, no, that's not true. You're just telling people what they want to hear. But a lot of it is fear about, because they've either seen things themselves or they don't want to accept it. But majority of the time is fear.
Yeah, that's what I think, because I remember one time a friend of mine invited me to go to a Christian church service. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, let's go. And he said, for real, you'll go with me? And I was like, yeah, you said it'll be cool. I'll listen to a positive message. So we went, and I asked him at the end, I said, how come you were surprised that I wanted to come with you? And he said, because most people don't want to come. He said, everybody that I invite, if the pastor sees them and he wants to pray over them, they always say no.
Right.
And you were like, okay, like that's fine. I'm going to get something good out of it. And, but I do believe that some people, when you share with them your gift, that they right away start thinking, oh no,
right.
They may see something. And there's been times where I've shaken people's hands or met them. Mm-hmm. And sometimes esa persona no es una persona buena.
Right.
Is not a good person. This person is a good person. Or sometimes I won't get either one, but I will shake their hand and see something that they've been through. Mm-hmm. I met a woman and somebody kept telling me that person's no good. She's my boss. I can't stand her. She comes after me. She attacks me.
Totally different.
Yeah.
That's because you're an empath.
Yeah. As much as I don't want to say that.
You are an empath. And, like I said, it's so funny because it's mostly like Catholicism or Christianity that really badger me the most, whereas other type cultures really embrace me. Like I said, some people consider me to be a prophet. Some people consider me to be a witch. And there's just so many beautiful things that the Wiccan community does for the people when it comes to health and mind, body, and spirit work. People are really starting to understand and tap into how good plants are, herbalists and stuff, and it's true, you are what you eat. And then there's the Catholic Church where they're like mega givers. You need help with the light bill. You need help with food. You need help with anything. And they're sitting there writing out the checks. And this is why I believe that there's such a big mega church, because the more you give, the more you're going to get. But don't have that mentality of doing it. Give with your heart. Don't give expecting something back. And then there's Christian churches like the men's homes, the women's homes. I mean, they are out there in the streets finding the lost, trying to get people saved and off of drugs and cleaned up. So people are actually, doing more works together than what they would want to believe. But we are so antisocial, and especially with this COVID, it's like we walk around with this blinders and we don't try to look at one another. Everybody wants to be a label or segregated or believe they're superior over something. And there was a word in Islam about having pride. It's come to mind, but that's a sin.
Yeah,
that's a big sin.
It is, but pride, and I'm glad you're sharing that because really do believe you're educating us, and for many of us that may not know a lot of things that you're talking about, because you're answering a lot of my questions that I didn't have to ask you, So, but now let me ask you this. I know you said by certain churches or by certain people, they pretty much bashed you, and they pretty much kind of like saw you like, that's of the devil. We don't want anything to do with you,
Right?
Or did you ever doubt yourself, like, is this gift good?
Never,
Okay.
because I know in my heart the things that I've done have helped so many people.
Okay.
And if I had to take a whooping for it, like Jesus, then so be it.
Okay. And wow. Now, has there?
I mean, I've got attacked by spirits, and I've got attacked by, especially when I'm doing exorcisms too,
Wow.
So it's like I get it,
Okay. Now we have a couple of minutes before we take a little short intermission break, but I wanted to ask you: have you ever met someone? And I'm sure the answer is yes, but maybe you could just give us a quick example before we go to break. Met somebody and you just saw nothing but bad in that person.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And it still chills me to the bone because there'll be times where I'll be sitting down and I can see people that are hurting children.
Oh, wow.
And it really gets me. It gets me to the point where it's like, I know I'm being shown these gifts or I know I'm being showed this stuff for a reason, and it is my job to protect. And so never forget that, and I want the audience to know this too. People out there that have gifts, we do things in silent, and this is why, people always say, witches don't brag about what they do. But you asked about white and good, about
Right.
light and dark, if the angel's good. Well, I am actually the same way. If I see somebody hurting somebody, then yeah, I'm going to do a little concoction to stop them. It's for the good, but it's going to be all bad.
Wow. I walked into a supermarket one time, and it was so weird because I can still see it right now. I walked in, and I just thought it was weird that this older gentleman was looking at women products. He was looking at women like dye, women lipstick, women this, and he was just looking. So, but I don't know why it was this quick that I saw him, and I saw again, and I heard the word child molester. Mm-hmm. That's all I heard. And I don't know why he stuck with me. I was like, what the hell?
That spirit talking to you.
Yeah. So a couple of days later, I ran to a friend. I said, man, I got to tell you something, man. I said, and this is one individual that I share a lot of my things with, and he doesn't think I'm weird, Mm-hmm. So I told him what I saw, and he goes, maybe it was just you overthinking. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Eventually, this man did get arrested, and I found out by the person who worked there that this person went in there to develop some pictures. He was still getting pictures developed.
Yep.
The machine broke down. He didn't want to wait, so he said, when they're finished developing them, please call me and I'll come back and pick them up. Well, this person saw what the pictures were, and they were of children.
Yep.
And they had to call the police.
Yep.
And when he came in, they got him.
And this is how one of my cousins ended up being really hurt, because there was a particular person in our family that he's doing life right now. It was all over the news, so this is nothing news that I'm talking about. Maybe for some of my family members, I'm digging up old ghosts, but my cousin Monique was taken by her uncle that was in prison for a long time, and she was basically hurt, raped and murdered and left in a field out here in Wilmington. But that one particular uncle, the same thing. I would just get this feeling, and my father wouldn't let me around him. Just certain family members would be like, oh, he's fine. But for some reason, I could never. I know there was times where he said, come see me, or, come and visit me. I'm out of jail. I want to see how you are. And nope, never happened. And it was like spirit that was protecting me. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, God bless my aunt and my uncle that have lived and we've gone through, this nightmare. But I know Monique, she's good, but you don't know how many children I see that things could be avoided, or parents that just neglect children.
Right.
And I'm like, you need to pay attention, and I'll tap them on the shoulder because I'm feeling a person and I'm like, hey, can you please get your daughter and take them? And I know they get offended or they get mad. Don't get mad if somebody's trying to warn you about your child. I'm going to tell you that right now, because they care enough to say something to you. That means they're looking out for you. Right. So don't be such a bitch or whatever. Be like, oh, hey, that's my kid. These people care. Okay, right. They're saying something. Pay attention.
Awesome. I'm glad you shared that. I have some questions I want to ask you about that, because I believe, if I'm correct, it's probably the same little girl that I heard about many years ago, and I never found out what exactly happened. We just heard about it. Yeah. But okay, everyone, we're going to go ahead and take a 5-minute intermission break. We'll be back in 5 minutes, and we got another topic that we're going to be bringing up, and I think you guys will be very intrigued by it. So keep in mind, once again, make sure you call somebody, let them know that we're live on Freaky Tales. Make sure you share the link, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone, to Freaky Tales podcast on this Friday night, and we would like to thank everybody who's joining us. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I would like to thank my special guest for coming all the way from Oxnard and blessing us tonight with her stories. But we're gonna go ahead and continue. So we talked about the angel of death, and I'm thankful that you went ahead and brought that subject to Freaky Tales podcast simply because we have never talked about that. And so that's something new for our listeners, for our viewers. And also now we're going to switch gears up here a little bit. And you told me over the phone that you can speak to the dead or you can hear the dead. Can you elaborate a little bit about that, how you came to know that this was a gift of yours?
Well, like I said, when I was little, their angel had appeared to me. But when I started really getting people that have passed on speak to me, it actually happened in elementary school. Wow. I was sitting in class, and I'll never forget, there was these two janitors. I went to Woodland Hills Elementary School, and these two janitors were Larry and Burhani.
Okay.
It was just so crazy. I was walking to the library, and I went up to the librarian, and I had asked her, can you check these books in for me? And Larry and Burhani kind of look over at me because they were cleaning the the shelves, and I was talking to a spirit.
Really?
It was one of the old librarians that had passed on within our school. And Burhani had told me, you must have been born with a veil over your face. And he came from, I think he was from Nigeria. And he says, you were born with a veil. This means you can see spirits. And he goes, I knew there was something in here because I would arrange the chairs one way and then they would be rearranged the other way. And I was the only one that knew that in the school, though.
Wow. And now every time you saw one of these spirits or heard from a deceased, would you see him, or sometimes would it just be audio, or sometimes it would be an appearance?
So they never move their mouths with me, okay? So spirits speak with telepathy. This means that sometimes, like if you're trying to talk to them or you're shouting at them, an empath, you need to just kind of quiet your mind and you'll be able to feel what it is they're saying, or else they'll pick up an object and they'll show you. Sometimes I can hear audible, like the whisper of their voice of a woman or a male. Sometimes it just really depends on the level of the strength of a spirit. Like there'll be times where I'll be in a house and I can hear a man's voice just say, get out, like clear, and everybody heard it because that's a very strong spirit. But majority of the time, like I can see them in the room. Or before I get to a place, like I said, I seen your mom. They'll appear to me, in my heart and in my head. And I can feel what it is that they're trying to tell me. And they'll talk to me through their hearts or through their souls.
Wow, you just shocked me right now on something that you said, because you said sometimes it's almost like telepathy, and they never move their mouth.
Right.
Now, I dream every night in high definition. and every time there's two people that I've dreamt of a lot. Number one is my mother, and I've always told people my mother never speaks to me. My mother never speaks to me.
I just answered your question.
And yes, and I yell.
Oh my gosh.
In my dreams, like Ama, like I truly yell because I want to see her, and she looks all healthy, but it's like she looks at me and then she'll walk away, and I'm chasing after her.
She's like, and he's not listening.
Yes, I'm chasing after her, and then I have a friend that, and this one's hard for me to speak. He committed suicide. He was a very, very unhappy person. Here's what happened. This man was actually a pastor, and he became my good friend, very, very good friend. And one day he just told me he just was having headaches. It's an older gentleman, late 60s, and he told me, what, I'm having headaches, and then you could take me to the hospital. And I'm going to share this with you. When he went to the hospital, he never came back home the same. It was almost like whatever they gave him now, he was becoming loony. He was not the same person. He was telling me, I got something on my back. I feel somebody following me. I feel this. And I would always say, this is not the same person anymore. So the next day he tells me, can you take me back? And I told him, don't go. I don't think you need to go. No, I need to go. I need to go get my medication. He goes, he comes back, and now he's telling me that they placed on him the mark of the beast. And I know this was not him. Like, this was a very conservative, well-mannered, well-dressed man. Spoke eloquently, but he wasn't the same anymore.
Before I came here, and like I said, I kind of project myself into being here, I was suffering from a massive where I couldn't even open up my eyes. And I'll let the person just say it out loud. What was I suffering from? A headache, especially right here on the left side. When I began to think about your show, when I began to think, because there was a spirit here that was trying to communicate with me. And so you just shed light. Wow. Because the pain was so bad. I kept feeling he's still around, because, you know, when we think about spirits, they tend to come around us more. But I keep getting a pain from my eye all the way to the back of my head, where I couldn't even lift up my head. And so I had to go do like a salt bath. And, you know, and that's another thing too, is, you know, you get rid of negativity, you know, through different ritualistic baths and stuff. And the spirit was showing me, you know, the pain. And that's how it was trying to communicate. So I was like, oh. But what had happened to him was he had a bit of a brain aneurysm that had happened inside of his head, where there was causing a blood blockage to his pineal gland. The pineal gland is what we considered our third eye chakra. I don't know if you heard of that before, but this is the one that gives us sight and vision and wisdom. The blood flow to that pineal gland was very, very few, but it was actually kicking up something that our body produces called DMT. DMT is kind of like a LSD or hallucinogenic that our body naturally produces. So it was taking him into other realms and other things that, you know, his beliefs were, you know, something's happening to my body. This is all bad. This is the mark of the beast. They're doing this to me. Yes. So he was going through like a fight or flight type of syndrome until finally he just couldn't take it anymore.
And it's funny that you said that he's still around, because whenever I dreamt him, he's right here in the front of my yard. I would come out and he's right there looking at me. And I would always yell out his name, and I said, how come you don't talk to me? How come you don't talk to me? And he just looks at me. Now, the last time that I dreamt him, it was weird, because I'm talking to him like this, and I see this other person right here, and I never look to see who it is, but I see a dark image, and he says this: he cannot talk to you.
Right.
And
he literally can't.
Yeah.
You got to feel him.
Yeah.
You got to feel him. That means just try to reach out with your heart. Sometimes, like they say, a hug can say 1,000 words.
Right.
And when you begin, and sometimes people that have a hard time showing emotion have a hard time communicating with spirit like this, because there's that emotional distance. Okay. So that's why people are like, why is it that you can see things and I can? And because they're trying to see with their natural eye. They're not trying to see with their soul, with their heart, because this is a totally different level he's on. Right. So he's not in the what we call the physical world. Right. You know, he's in the spiritual world where everything is just, you know, telepathy. And then we'll get into aliens and stuff about that too. You know, everything is telepathic on those levels. No, you're right. And well, thank you for answering that, because it really bothered me when they couldn't talk to me. I always kept thinking I did something wrong. I also kept getting the name Joe around you too. So that was something else that kept coming. So something by the name of Joe or Joey Joseph also too. That was something else. So talk about that more later. Okay. So now, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. So we talked for a couple of minutes. We're going to put our headphones on, and Anthony's going to put up the number on the screen. And as soon as we get a call, we will take calls. So, all right. Anybody want to call and have a question for Ladie, or want to share something that's happened to you, maybe something pertaining to this subject,
or maybe it's just something different. Maybe you just want to share something that's happened to you or that you're experiencing, or maybe you may even have this gift yourself. We'll wait a couple of minutes, and hopefully we have the number on the screen. There it is there. And he'll let me know as soon as we get a caller. So don't be shy now, because I know a lot of you guys want to call, and you guys tell me usually after the show. So the number is up on the screen. We're going to wait for you. If not, we're going to go ahead and continue this topic. We spoke on the angel of death. Now we're talking about speaking to the dead. So once again, allow me to encourage you to call in. And if not, then, okay. Caller, are you there? And where are you calling from? Hello, caller? Caller, are you there? Hello, caller? Sometimes we always have bad connection every time we do Freaky Tales.
Well, that is because a lot of times spirits run off of energy, like I told you, and they will mess with your equipment.
Wow.
They'll cause blockages.
You know, when we had Cedric, we had a lot of things going wrong. A lot of things going wrong. 2 of our channels didn't work, and that's a brand new board.
Oh, wow.
Brand new board, and it didn't work.
It happens.
So we're going to go ahead and give you guys a couple of more chances to get your story in live on Freaky Tales podcast. You know, whenever we do the other podcast, we never get these problems. Never.
Yeah,
it's always this one. So,
well, ghosts tend to absorb energies or manipulate energies that are around them. So that's why, like, people that are readers and people that are empaths, they seem to get attacked a little bit more than normal, is because those spirits are absorbing that energy. So this is where I've learned to, like, block things. And, you know, I actually wear certain stones that'll help transmute that energy trying to come or rob my energy. There's times where I'll be doing readings and I'm just, like, so wiped out.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes. Yeah. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from the Bay Area.
Bay Area. How are you? You have a question or you have something you want to share?
Yes. First off, I just want to thank you, Tony. The program is awesome, and your guest is even more awesome.
Thank you.
Shedding light and learning a bunch of stuff that you know we sometimes take lightly throughout our lives, and you know, so you guys are putting on a great show. I just have a question because we have a cat, and you guys are talking about, you know, the realm of animals and things like that, and you know, we've had this cat for maybe a year and a half now, and we all love him, and what I noticed is that, like, when he gets to, like, my room, he doesn't cross over the threshold. He jumps, and it's just a weird thing. It's like he'll just jump over that, like a line, like there's an invisible line, and he would just jump over it, either leaving the room or coming in the room, and I just always, like, there gotta be something about that.
Yes.
And I didn't want to think into it too much, and like when you said. And I know cats are they're like aware, you know, they see things and hear things that the natural person really can't. But I don't know. I don't want to think too much into that.
Okay.
It's kind of funny to see, but yet I think there's a message behind it.
Okay. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Absolutely. Your cat is seeing a portal. So a portal, sometimes they happen in our house. They can be either, like I said, they come in different sizes, either very big or very small. But this is a very, not even a high vibe portal. It's just, if you would just take regular table salt and sprinkle it over this line that your cat is jumping over, you're going to start seeing the cat walk back and forth. What minerals tend to do and what stones tend to do, this is why, people, even in the Bible, it says that when Lazarus had died, they rolled a big stone in front of the tomb, because the minerals have the tendency to close up portals. So I would just take regular table salt and just sprinkle it where the cat likes to jump, and you'll see your kitty start being a lot more comfortable of crossing over. Yeah, yeah, your cat's very, very sensitive.
Well, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, no, it does, Tony. And one last thing, Tony, your other podcast, you're doing great, and the way you handle your situations was great, and just keep pushing. And we got a lot of support with you over here in the Bay Area, and we're going to keep pushing for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, brother. Have a blessed night.
Thank you.
So I really, really enjoy taking calls. Anthony, let's keep taking them. So if you have a question or something you want to share, please call us and let us know about it.
I love animal calls. Those are like the best ever.
Yeah, I have a friend that has I believe 2 dogs, and she was telling me that her dogs were barking or acting weird, like if somebody or something was in the house, and she couldn't figure it out. But she didn't think it was anything good, simply because these dogs were like, it was almost like they were barking at it. So, and I've never been a pet guy. I've never had animals. The only thing I've ever had was fish. So for me to elaborate and help her out, I didn't know. So
okay. Yeah, pets, I love reading pets, and if we really pay attention to our pets, here we go again, they don't move their mouths, they speak with their souls, and they're able to communicate with us through their hearts. And I like to say the heart, but it's the spirit, and that's why people that actually have pets at a very young age, I encourage people to I grew up on basically kind of like a farm on Remit Avenue. We had turkeys and chickens and like 25 dogs and 35 cats.
I believe we have a caller.
Oh, okay.
Let's hear that music again, Anthony. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Sometimes for some reason it just takes a minute. Okay, we're going to continue the conversation. If you can hear us, just go ahead and jump right in. So, my question is this, and hopefully we don't get interrupted. If not, it's fine. Have you ever spoken to someone who has deceased, and they were not friendly?
Yes. Not everybody's friendly.
Okay.
Well, like I said, I get these spirits that, people move out of they pass away, and then people buy their houses. As a matter of fact, the story that comes to mind there we go.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Veronica from Whittier.
How are you doing tonight?
And I'm doing good. Thank you for being on the show. I have a question. So,
yes,
my mother-in-law passed away, and within the same week, we took my father-in-law out to eat. We were at Benihana's. We were sitting at a table. This is before COVID. We were sitting at a table, and everybody, it was really noisy. All the people, the family that was there, and my suegro, my significant other, and we were sitting at the table. And my suegro looked at me. I looked at him because we heard a distinctive voice call out my significant other's name, and I swear it was my mother-in-law. And even my suegro said, "Mija, did you hear that?" I'm like, "Yeah." And it was so full of noise. So it was like the voice was right in our ear. He heard it, I heard it, and my significant other sitting between us, we didn't hear it. And I'm thinking, I wonder if she left being worried for him because he was a baby. He's a baby of the family.
Wow.
Well, like I said, our loved ones, our loved ones will definitely, depending on the energy. And as you were talking about her, I got my arms went numb. She kept showing me like she was like always cold. You know, like I guess she had like body temperature changes too, but it was definitely her. And it just was the perfect energy because everybody was together and talking. And like I told you, they're able to take energies from people and they're able to manipulate those energies, and then they're able to project. So this is how also we use what we call spirit box sessions, where we'll take a radio device and they can manipulate those sounds and come through.
Wow.
And sometimes, like if we're all sitting together, like a seance or something, they'll use your energies and they'll come through. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And regarding her arms, she passed away at the hospital, and she had the dialysis stent in her arm, and all the IVs that they put on her arm when she passed, they were really, really painful, both of them.
Yeah, because I kept getting circulation. She was getting like a lot of circulation and cold in the arms. So she kept showing me her arms.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing it. We really appreciate that, and hopefully that helped a little bit.
Thank you for giving me that information.
Yes, you're
Appreciate
welcome. Brightest blessings to you, love.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
And we'll go ahead and keep taking them. Meanwhile, we'll just pick it up where you were saying that they're not always good, the deceased, and you were going to share a story.
Yes. One of my friends, she had purchased this house and she noticed that things were starting to be moved around her house. And she thought, you know what, maybe this is just me. Well, she purchased another house and she moved into that house. And she had a renter that comes in and she asked the renter, do you guys notice anything? And the renter was like, why would you ask that? And the renter was telling her, we have things that are happening here, you know. And so I had met these two on something totally different. And we got another caller?
I think so. Hello?
Okay.
Hello?
Hello?
Caller, where are you calling from?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. How are you? You have a question or something you want to share?
Question.
Yes.
My question was, y'all were talking about the portals that open up at certain hours. My question was, where are them portals opening up from, and why are they allowed to do that?
Okay. Well, a lot of times the portals open up in places where death has occurred, or there's something called ley lines. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that term.
No, I don't.
But ley lines are paths that kind of interconnect with one another, kind of like a supernatural high-speed highway that's kind of mapped out upon this earth. There are points of like pyramids, and then there's steeples. Like if you go to Washington, you're going to see a steeple. If you go to this, I forgot where else they have, but you'll see steeples all over the community. These are little hidden objects, okay? And these are ley lines, and sometimes when they cross, they have portals, okay? And when the angel of death always comes in through a portal, takes the body into another realm or another dimension, and then that portal is left open, or an essence that's left open.
Right.
And then they're like, okay, now we got another portal. There are portals in the ocean. There's portals just about everywhere. And their portals are kind of like, I guess you would say, think about a time traveler, right? And they go through this tunnel like, phew, and they kind of leave behind like a residual. So that's just like a traveling superhighway for spirits to come and go.
Wow. Okay. I hope that answered your question, or was there something else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah. That answers it. Thank you, Tony.
Okay. Thank you, man. Thank you, Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. Wow.
Yes. Thank you for watching.
Appreciate it. Awesome show.
Thank you.
Yes. Have a blessed night. Okay, so you were saying that you were talking to this couple at this home, and then that there were things going on.
Yeah, there were things going on. Their dog was acting crazy. There was doors that were opening. Children were afraid to go into the room, and it was an old lady that did not want her house messed with.
Oh, wow.
They were beginning to do reconstruction. I think they painted one of the rooms, and she just got super upset. And it was funny because I kept getting the name Dolores, Dolores, Dolores. And they're like, we don't know any Dolores, you know? And I says, well, the spirit says her name is Dolores and you're messing with her house and she don't like it. And then the husband would step in and was like, basically calling everybody like, we don't appreciate these people here. They make a lot of noise, because they were an older couple that had passed on. And this is actually out in Santa Paula.
Hello?
Yes. Hello. Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Tony, and I'm calling from Vegas.
Vegas.
Oh, Las Vegas.
You have a question or something you wanted to share?
Last time on I wanted to share a freaky tale that happened to my sister a week ago.
Okay.
Ooh.
So everything's been happening at 3 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, she has 3 German Shepherds, a little Chihuahua, and a cat. So all of a sudden, they heard loud bangings throughout the whole house from outside and inside the home. So all the dogs and the cat started howling at the same time, like really, really. I don't know if you ever heard how a pit bull howls at night, mm-hmm. like really scary. Yeah. They were all doing it at the same time, so it scared all of them. So my sister just didn't think nothing about it. She just started praying and just went back to bed. The same night, she ended up seeing, you know how the exorcist walks out, like the girl from the staircase?
Yes.
Have you seen that part?
Yes.
Yeah, she said that she saw a girl with long pigtails, like a white gown, that just coming out of her bed and just sat by her mirror and just stared at her. Mm-hmm. And the same girl keeps targeting my nephew. Wow. And she does not know what to do. My mother-in-law has gone over there and she has cleansed, because she has a big mirror in front of her bed. She said that nothing's gonna go away until she closes that mirror. She gets rid of it. She doesn't want to, but I just think that whatever that girl, I think it is like basically like telling my sister not to get rid of it. So my sister starts to fight with her husband like really bad, to the point that they end up getting physical one time.
Wow. Okay. Care to elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, people tend to have beliefs that, mirrors are also portals, because it's, and like even when people would say, Bloody Mary in the mirror, whatever, that a spirit apparition would come through. Even people in Louisiana, they believe that when the people pass away, you cover up the mirror. I do have the tendency to use mirrors as portals too, but the way to cleanse a mirror is just get simple salt water, spray it and let it set and say, I close up this mirror. But I don't really feel this energy is coming from the mirror. Okay. I believe this energy has been there I believe this energy has been there long before the mirror, because even before that, there was things that were happening in the home, like either misplaced objects. This particular spirit would like to hide objects in the house, or, your sister would be like, where's my keys? Where's my keys? Or she was constantly losing objects. Okay. So I'm also getting that it would misplace objects. And this spirit here, it really needs to be put to rest. So I would say most definitely you want to get some salt. This is a quick way. If you want to get rid of a spirit, I always tell people this: make a really good dinner. Okay. And set out another place for the spirit. And you tell the spirit, I invite you to come and sit at this table and enjoy this meal, partake of this meal. So you just give it time. And I always say, keep a candle. And if the candle starts to move, then the spirit is present. You tell him, when you're done with your meal, you need to leave this house now. So you open up the door, you take the plate and you carry it out and you dump it in the trash. And people are like, is that, yeah. And so that's like one of the most easiest way to get rid of a spirit. I'll never forget one of my aunts, her house was haunted, and she literally would open up the door and tell the spirit, get out,
Wow.
But I've done that too. And I don't know, I think it was a bad idea one time. One time when I was young. It came back like strong.
Well, if it does tend to still, you can definitely hit me up on a DM on my Facebook or on my Instagram. I'll be more than happy to talk with you guys and give you guys some more, what to do. But usually the plate trick does work,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, sure. I'll tell her to try that, because my mother-in-law, she cleanses as well, but she couldn't get rid of the lady. She said it was a couple and a little girl. She got rid of the little girl and the dad, but the lady does not want to leave, and it keeps scaring my sister, like just coming out of her bed like all the time.
Yeah.
mostly at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And that's
And
what I
the
was telling you
banging
about.
still happens, and the dogs still howl, like a scary howl.
Yeah, this one here would have to be crossed over definitely to the light, but I don't know. I really feel in my heart that this spirit is a lady, like you said, but a lady. So if you kindly invite her over to the
okay.
table and ask her, and then tell her, hey, it's time for you to go home. Go home to your child, go home to your husband, and I thank you, and I promise I'll take care of your house, and because she's a lady. And she's gonna put up a fight,
okay.
Okay.
But be
okay.
nice. Yeah, we could be kind.
Yeah, it's not gonna possess my sister.
No,
My sister's
absolutely
gonna go
not.
crazy in the table.
But your sister also has a gift of knowing things too. Like she can actually do premonitions, or she's an empath as well, where she can feel things. So this is why it's coming around her more.
Okay. Hopefully that helped you.
Okay, Father.
Yes,
it did.
I know your Instagram is up on the screen, and also on the description. Once the video is up, when people look on the description on YouTube, your Instagram will be there as well. So if they want to follow you,
Awesome.
And ask you questions as well. So we'd like to thank you from Las Vegas for calling in. Thank you very much.
Okay, is it okay if I could have one more question?
Yes,
Sorry
yes.
to make it long, but like it's for her. My daughter, she sometimes it scares me, but she sometimes tells me that she sees people. I think what I've seen and read about is that they're just trying to communicate with her, but she gets kind of scared. And I'm just trying to help her out that there's just people that want help.
Right.
But
They do want help.
I don't know what to tell her, what to do to her.
Yeah, they do want help, and they do want help that come around her, because spirits do tend to come around children and animals a lot. And this is where we teach children to exercise their voice, to say, go away or leave me alone if they don't want to talk to them. And they'll listen, because the more and more, like my grandmother told me, you don't have to talk to every spirit that's out there.
Right.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you so much for your advice, because I don't know what else to tell her, because she does get kind of freaked out.
Oh my goodness. And just lots of love. Just love her and reassure her that there are angels around her, and that the angels will definitely be protecting her, and there's nothing to fear. These are just people that just want to talk, and they want direction. But if they get uncomfortable for her, she doesn't have to talk to them. She doesn't. She has that choice.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you for calling.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your advice.
Yeah, thank you
And
for
thank
calling.
you, Tony, for having me on your live. I'm really grateful, and I love your podcast all the time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for calling. Have a blessed night.
Thank you. You guys have a blessed night. Bye.
Yes.
Me too. Brightest blessings.
So we're gonna go ahead and keep it going. We're gonna leave the lines open. So I know every time we try to get to the story, people keep calling. So I think we have somebody else. If you guys can turn down your TV. Hello?
Hello.
Yes. Where are you calling from?
Yeah. This is Leo calling from Hermiston, Oregon.
How you doing?
And so, doing all right, bro. Doing all right. Just enjoying the show as always.
Thank you, man.
I had a question because she was talking about witches, bad witches that are known to do curses and such, and be able to maybe shape shift. So my mother had for a long time when I was a young kid, and I actually got to be a witness of it for a couple of times. She was getting chased by a lechuza, and in the Latin world, lechuzas can be, I guess, witches, or they can shapeshift into lechuza, night owls.
Okay.
And so we saw this lechuza that was constantly vigilant. She was for some time. It was probably about a couple of years. For a couple of years, we would always be seeing this lechuza around the neighborhood. One time, there was a crowd trying to kill it because it was a pretty big, sizable lechuza that would stand on pine trees, those skinny pine trees that would just be like looking over the houses in the neighborhood right there. And a bunch of tios, they went and tried to kill it and such, with no luck, a couple of times. It literally did try to attack my mother. In fact, one time, and it sounds funny, but that thing actually shat on her. It's like a flyby.
Like a
I was
swoop.
always wondering, is that something that really can happen? Is there really, that kind of mentality, or that's possible? That always got me. I always wondered if that was real.
Well, lechuzas are owls. They're very intelligent, extremely intelligent, and they tend to make their homes, and people will see them. And like I said, because of old folklore, a lot of people consider them bad luck, but I consider them a blessing.
Yeah.
Like they're really beautiful creatures, and not only that, they keep us free from rodents and vermin. But I think people were attacking this bird so much that the bird was just attacking people back to stay away, because I think it had babies in the tree. I keep feeling babies somewhere. So there was a nest that was nearby, and it was trying to keep people away from the nest. So it wasn't really trying to attack, your mom, but it was trying to say, hey, I know people are bad, but I have little ones I need to protect. But I don't get a bad vibe at all. And like I said, to me, whenever I see an owl, that's a beautiful sign, because sometimes when I cross people over, that's how I get my signs. Either I'll see a dog, or hear a dog bark, or I'll see an owl. Wow. And that means they've crossed over. Yeah. Or sometimes butterflies. I know a lot of people in the daytime see butterflies or hummingbirds or things like that, but I do a lot of my work at night. So
Okay.
these are my go-to animals. Yeah.
Well, see, the thing is that this owl, and I don't know, again, maybe it was a personal vendetta against my mother. He did something or whatnot, but we were living at that point on the different side of town, same town. So, but that's where the attacks were starting to happen a lot more for whatever reason. Other things were happening within the house as well. Different place we were living at that point, but it just seemed to correlate, everything together, and it just seemed.
Yeah, like why did this happen all at the same time?
Very believable.
Right.
Yeah. No, I definitely pick up babies, and I pick up, the owl trying to protect, its offspring. Things that in the house are just coincidental, that's, I pick up, two separate, things that were occurring, but I definitely get babies that were in the mix that this mama was trying to protect, because the female owls are huge. I don't know if you guys ever seen a female owl.
No,
oh my God. Their wingspan.
Yeah.
It's I'll never forget, there was even a hawk, the female hawks. My husband would call her a Big Bertha, because the females are always double the size of the males. They're gigantic, and it scares people. It really does.
Well, hopefully that helped you. So
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Keep on doing what you're doing, bro.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Have a blessed night. Okay, we're gonna take one more call. So who wants to be the lucky caller? And if we have time, try to keep it between 2 to 3 minutes long. You guys' question, so we can try to get everybody in. So once again, anybody want to call in and ask a question or share something, we greatly appreciate it. And we want to continue to thank you for being a part of this show. So Freaky Tales podcast with Ladie. So hopefully we can get through this story. So you were at this house.
So the name Dolores came through, and nobody knew who Dolores was. And we get, I guess, some old mail that was coming through for like advertisements. And there was a name address, Dolores, and I'll keep the last name kind of secret. But that was the old owner of the house.
Oh, wow.
And they looked at this mail, and then they researched it, and they were like, you know what? This lady knew. Lady knew this lady.
Wow. Caller, are you there? Hello, caller.
Hello.
Yes, where are you calling from?
Sacktown, Sacramento.
Sacramento. How are you tonight?
Sacramento.
I'm good. I'm really good, guys. Thank you. How are you guys?
Good. We're having a great time. What's on your mind? Something you want to share? Something you want to ask?
Yeah, I was going to share one story or one experience, I guess, that I had in Mexico. So my wife's part of the family is from Michoacan, and part of my family is as well. But her dad's side is actually named after this town in Michoacan. And so we're down there in like 2007, I want to say, 2008 maybe. And her cousin's parents, the father's a doctor. So like people from the town would go see this guy, and they, I guess, would do, night calls. And he was probably one of the only doctors in this town until the next big city about 20 miles out. So we're down there in their house because they had a legit clean house, whereas like my suegro's house, where his mom raised him, was more falling apart, needed repairs, cockroaches in the bed, and they would scare you and tell you there's scorpions falling through the roof and stuff. Just super, super old school.
Oh, wow.
And so we're in their house, and my wife's cousins, there's two girls. The doctor and his wife had two daughters, and they would tell these stories to me. I'm Pocho. I taught myself Spanish when I was an adult, and all that type of stuff. So they're like, in the backyard, we see a blue flame where our dog is, and there was supposedly, a spirit back there, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, cool, that's great, like, great, I'm in Mexico. So anyways, we go to bed, and we've probably been there maybe 3 or 4 nights, and we crash out, and we're up on the second floor. So it's like a flat, like there's an open room up there. It's kind of like a storage living room type area that's unused. And then there's 2 bedrooms that aren't really separated by a wall. They're just kind of next to each other, and there's beds up there. So we're up there. The rest of the family sleeps downstairs with the kitchen and their designated private rooms. So we're crashed out. I had to take a leak, I get up like at 3 in the morning and take a leak. And something kind of woke me though. I don't know if it was because I had to piss or it was something else in the house. Maybe somebody got up or something. And so I get up and I head down the stairs. And it's like a skinny hallway or stairway that goes down, opens up into the kitchen, and the front door is right in front of you to come down to the end of the stairs. And you have to turn back underneath the stairs to get to the bathroom. So I'm coming down the stairs, and I'm super foggy. It's 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. And at the door, there's a huge window that looks out to the front patio. So at the door, I see a figure next to the window. Like the door and the window are arm's length. And so the figure is in a nightgown, like a long gray white gown. And I look up and I thought, dang, what's the mom doing up at 3 in the morning, and I'm foggy. I'm kind of foggy, so I don't say anything to her. And I go, dang, what's this lady doing, right? The doctor's wife. And so I just turned to go to the bathroom. Like, I don't want to talk to her. I'm really out of it. And she doesn't even look at me. She had to hear me, right? She had to hear me walking upstairs and then coming down. And she just is standing there looking out the window. So I said, orale. I go to the bathroom, and I don't even remember seeing her going back up because I was so tired. So I go up, I lay down. And then the next day for breakfast, I'm talking to my wife's cousins. And I said, oh, yeah, I saw your mom in the middle of the night. I had to take a leak. And, it sucks because you have to go down these stairs.
Right.
And it's like un jale, right? To go to the bathroom and find the bathroom. So I was like, I had to come down, so they're like, oh, mama, did you go, go up and make some food, or were you up last night? Because, my name's Salvador. They're like, Sal saw you in the middle of the night. And she says, no. She goes, I didn't get up at all last night. I said, what? I said, well, I saw a woman at the window in a nightgown. Didn't look at me, didn't turn, didn't move her body. Like, oh, who's this? And she doesn't know it wasn't me.
Right.
Okay, so it gets weird though because they said their dad. They said, oh, my dad had a night call last night, and he got up to see a patient.
No.
Okay.
And because as you were talking, I kept getting a female spirit. And before you finished your story, I said female spirit. And then I confirmed it again and said female spirit. I keep getting there. The place is haunted, most definitely.
Wow.
By a female spirit. Yes.
Maybe that's what you saw.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
You saw a ghost, brother.
So you're right. For years, I convinced myself I had my experience, because I believe in the energy. I believe in the atomic and molecular part of all the, supernatural, extraterrestrial stuff. But I just don't know if I'm a full believer, right? You got to convince me. They got some evidence and proof, And so for years, I said, well, there it is. I saw it. I did it. And then, as I thought about it, don't mean to sound funny, but as I thought about it, we went back multiple times after, and so I was like, that was Dad. The dude just dresses probably like a woman when he goes to bed. It was probably him.
No. No.
Awesome. Well, you know what, brother? Thank you for calling. We greatly appreciate it. And hopefully you got some confirmation of what that was.
Yeah.
You saw a ghost.
Much love.
All good.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Yes,
God
thank you.
bless you guys. Bye.
God bless
Bye-bye.
you too.
Okay, we're going to take one more. We have enough time. We'll take one more phone call. So if anybody wants to have one more phone call, and then we'll finish up that story, or maybe I have a question,
Okay.
Caller. Hello. Caller.
Sometimes when people are talking, I usually scribe, and whatever I see.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh, there we go.
Yes. You are the last callers. And where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Oregon. I actually called you a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure exactly when, because I know you're doing every other week now. But
Yes.
I had called in. I don't know if you remember. I had called about my apartment smelling like cigarette smoke, and about the tall man standing over the bed. And I'm calling back because I feel like Lady knows her stuff, and I wanted to see if I can kind of get some answers to what that was.
Yeah. Go ahead. We usually like to give people at least 2 to 3 minutes to share their story, and then we'll try to answer as best as I can or she can.
Okay, so I'll try to go real quick. So what I had said was about 2 years ago, my boyfriend was diagnosed with cancer, and at that time, a lot of stuff was going on in our family. And one night I woke up and there was this tall man standing above the bed, but just standing over him, looking straight down at him. And I got, I wasn't scared, but I thought, is this real? So I kind of closed my eyes for a little bit, opened them back up, and he wasn't there anymore, but I clearly saw it. It didn't scare me, but it was just staring at him. And I thought, is this, I was thinking maybe like death coming for him or something, the way that the man looked deadly and pale and gray, but I didn't know what that was. And then the other situation was that I constantly smell cigarette smoke in my bedroom, and we don't smoke, and it smells like someone freshly just lit up a cigarette.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did kind of a symbol. I don't know if you're saying of me doing walking fingers, because I keep getting you said your husband, I'm sorry, or was it that this spirit?
He's my fiance. He's my boyfriend then, and that was going on with him. Yeah.
So I get, because he was going through so many health issues, that sometimes when we go through strenuous health issues, we tend to run at a low vibe energy. People that have low vibe energy tend to attract attachments or different type of ghosts that will follow them home. Because the first thing that I got was that your place was totally empty, no problems, no nothing, but you guys went either to a doctor's appointment or somewhere like a visit of a hospital or something that attracted this man that had been deceased. And because he's a low vibe energy, it followed him into the house. So, no, it's not the angel of death. That's a good thing. But it just had the tendency to kind of follow. And if you're still smelling cigarette smoke, like I said, the most easiest thing to do is go to your front door, open it up and say, can you please leave the home now? You're not welcome here, and take your cigarette smoke with you. But with this particular spirit too, I feel that if you were to burn some sage as well to kind of cleanse, the way to burn sage is you have everything sealed up. The doors are shut, the windows are shut, and you kind of go through each room. And, you can say whatever type of prayer you want, whatever's coming from your heart. As long as it's coming from your heart, just say, I want you to leave and cross back over to the light. This is our home, but, we want you to leave. When you're done with all of that, then you open up all the doors and all the windows, and the smoke will carry from the sage any type of residual that's left behind, and the spirit will follow the smoke. Since he likes to smoke, I'd figure sage would be the best bet. So,
okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you. That
You're
makes
welcome.
a lot of sense. And yeah, he did end up in the hospital for about a week around that time. So yeah, that
Yep.
sounds right.
Got followed home.
Awesome. Thank you for calling once again.
Thank you guys very much. And thank you, Tony, for your podcast. We look forward to it every other week. We're constantly watching it, and we follow you on Instagram.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Have a blessed night.
Brightest blessings.
Thank you, Lady. Good night.
Good. So that was our last call. So I could take off these headphones.
Okay.
So I just want to make an announcement that we are. I said we were going to do Freaky Tales every other week. We were doing it every week, okay? Oh. But because we're filming now, every other week. But I'll be out of town the last week of this month, so I'm going to have it next week. So next week, you guys expect Freaky Tales. So we're going to knock out 2 weeks back to back for the month. Usually, like I said, it will be every other week, but only this month I will have it next week and not the following week, which will be the last Friday of the month. But come March, we'll be back to our regular schedule every other week. So next week, we'll be back. We have another special guest. Now, with that being said, was there anything maybe you wanted to share? Maybe anything that was put on your heart that maybe you want to share? If not,
Well, I know a lot of people want to try to get a hold of me, and they try to follow me on my Instagram, and they'll DM me, but that's actually not the way I go too much.
Okay.
I do post things on there. People will tag the works that I've done, so you'll see me do things like the Winchester Mansion. There was a young witch where I told her she had a demon following her.
Wow.
So these are a lot of my clients that will tag works that I've done with them. But if you would like to book me, you would go to divinecreations.org, and
Okay.
you'll see the lotus flower, and you can book a session with me, because I do FaceTime, Skype, and I know a lot of people out there I'm not able to get to tonight, unfortunately.
Right.
But yeah, if you would like to book a session, go ahead and hit me up on my divinecreations.org.
divinecreations.org.
Yes,
.org.
and you'll see the lotus flower.
Awesome. So now you guys know you get a hold of her, and also if you want to follow her on Instagram. And I know you have a Facebook, but as of right now, do you have any type of links on your Instagram? They find you on Instagram that they can go to any of these.
Yes, they can actually find my Divine Creations link on there. And then my Instagram is the LADIE Boss, BOSS 143.
Yes, that's on the screen as a matter of fact as we speak. Other than that, you know what? I want to thank Big Citric for connecting us.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because he tells me, and guess what? She's from Wilmington. I was like, wow. That was funny. I thought that was weird, but a good weird, But I want to personally thank you for accepting my invitation and coming and blessing us with your wisdom.
I really want to thank you for having me on the show. I'm so glad I got to meet you. Citric, he's just above and beyond. This guy is just a ball of energy. He had a lot of great things to say about you, and
Awesome.
Especially your mom. I was really glad to meet her. She was such a wonderful lady, and you're so lucky to have her.
Awesome. Thank you. Wow, you just gave me the chills right there. Other than that, any shout outs maybe you'd like to give or anything?
I want to give a shout out to all the the Cytex out there in Porterville. I want to give a shout out to All About Cosmetics, Natalie Beavis, to Phil Medina, to Big Citric, of course, to all my girls out there in Oxnard, Sylvia and Ventura, and of course all my family and my dad Jimmy and everybody out here in Wilmington. Woo! All my family out here.
Awesome. Okay, well, at this point, once again,
and my kitties at home, I love you.
yes. Ladie, thank you very much. And hopefully this is not your last time.
I hope not.
Yes. So we're going to keep it going here. And eventually, because I talked to my team, that by the middle of the year, or hopefully by the end of the year, I want to be moved into a building, because I actually want to open up a third podcast, but I want to keep this one going.
It's going to happen.
Yes. I mean, this is not even half a year that we started this. So it's doing very, very well. So other than that, once again, next week we'll be back, but we won't be here the last week of this month. Come March, we will start again our regular schedule every other week. So with that being said, expect the unexpected. I want to thank Anthony for running this ship. I want to thank Alex Cervantes Enterprise, and I want to thank B. Scanless for helping me promote this. And we want to thank everybody that's liked, subscribed, shared, commented, whether it's negative or positive, it doesn't matter. Thank you for being here. Have a blessed night, and we'll see you guys next week.